Good morning, guys. Welcome to this Wednesday, May 20th. And excuse me if I end up coughing because I was fighting this freaking cold still. It's like, when you have small kids come over and visit, then it's not, they bring all the stuff with them. So yeah, you pick up all sorts of bugs. Anyway, so there you go. I'm gonna blame the little kids. Anyway, we're sitting in a holding pattern, waiting for Nvidia earnings, waiting for the Iranian situation to unfold. That's kind of where we are right now. We definitely took some stuff off the top. We pulled back pretty good for a couple of days. Not by any means in a way which gets us spooked about the trend not continuing, but so earnings has driven us way up above the 7,000 mark, and we are right up here against we're up to 7,500. We backed off and we are building value right now around 7,400. State Street profile, traded as a range bound market. Doesn't mean that there may be a little bit of runs on the upside and runs on the downside. So, but the dynamic is really fade the edges back to the mean at this point. If they start taking out some key resistance areas, and if you can see on the F1, it starts to form pretty nicely above the 74, 50, 50 to 60s, below the 74, 73, 40s. That's where we had to start worrying about a move out of the middle or a change in dynamics. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it right now. And you see a nice little volume blurb building. And so we have well-defined edges and just traded in this range. If they start blowing up above the 74, 50 to 60s, we may have a move out of the middle to the upside. If they start taking out the lows, 73, 40s, we may have a move out of the middle to the downside. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. And uh, yeah, you too, me, huh? Yeah, it's one of these things. I don't usually get sick too much, but when sick people kind of drop in and out, and then it's easy to pick that stuff up. Anyway, so news this morning, we did have news this morning. We had mortgage applications come out. They were kind of a mixed bag, not a big number by any means, but pretty muted. At 10 o'clock, we get Atlanta Fed business inflation at 10, an oil report at 10:30, and that's about it for today. We have a 20-year auction at 1, but worth pointing out, Fed minutes coming out at 2. It could be a reaction to those, depending on what happens there, but the Fed minutes are coming out. No announcement, just the minutes from the prior meeting. And of course, then after the close, we get Nvidia earnings, and then it's going to be probably what's going to set the stage for tomorrow's trading. So that's kind of the way I think this is going to play out. Either we get and it's hard to say how it's going to be. They're going to look at the earnings. They're going to swing back and forth wildly. It could be a wildly positive experience. Could be wildly negative. It could be as usually happens on Nvidia, but it doesn't need to be. This is some volatility, and then they sell off because it just has been the last few days, few times. But you never know. And eventually, they're going to be like a positive earning result, resulting in a positive reaction. So we will see. But that Thursday's trading is going to be very much about that. So starting off right now, looking to buy weakness, sell strength, and so looking to sell strength against the 74.15s, 30s, 40s, up to the 55, 60s here. If they clear the 74, 75, I would consider them taking out that area. So these are the two areas on the upper end. So 74, 55, that comes out, start leaning long. Confirmation above 76 at 75 here then we are definitely heading higher at that point. And on the way down, looking to buy weakness, 73, 85s, 75s, 65s, 55s, 45s down to the 35s for rotations up. The lower one is 25, but I would say this whole chunk of support there, as if they start probing those on the downside, look out. But they can still hold. So if they're probing down here, they can still hold. Or if if they're trading at the 25s, we have taken that out. We are starting to retrace at that point. So I would really key in on that 35, 45, and 35. So those are the support areas which has to hold. If they don't hold, we are heading lower. So that's how we get started. Fairly straightforward action right now. Range bound trading, fade the edges, and we are pretty much in the middle of the range. So expect some strength, some weakness. It could be nice little runs to the upside, could be nice little runs to the downside. I would be a little bit less aggressive chasing those in order to go with type of trading, unless you have a little bit of a big range here between the 15 and the 30s here. Could be a nice long trade and if they start taking that higher. But there's no rush on chasing those. I mean, unless you get really good trade location. Better is to look for the resistance areas or support areas, and then look for a retest failure kind of a setup, and then try to take that for rotation back again. So that's how we get started on the ES and the Nasdaq. Yesterday was pretty darn sloppy, a lot of volume. Today's trading, we have 300,000 on the micro ES so far. We have 700,000 on micro Nasdaq. So there's a fair amount of volume going on right now. So, yeah, before we haven't even opened. So it's pretty volatile. On the Nasdaq, a much bigger range. And I got my head handed to me yesterday. I was trying to trade that stuff. It's just too volatile. So I would be very cautious about the Nasdaq. Just trade that with a lot of caution. I probably favor the ES right now. It's volatile, but not as crazy volatile. The 5-point stop is okay still on the ES. Nasdaq, you probably had to double it to like 150 or something, or no one. Yeah, I'm at 80, so yeah, about 150 or something. Where you have a shot, or just get in and then adjust the stop based on what the charts look like. That the problem with that is like, yeah, you make the stop bigger, so your losses are a lot higher, and you know if it goes against you. And as you can know, so yesterday, a couple of losers, and you're down 200 some bucks, and it's on a micro, and that's no fun. So you have to trade up to some caution, but it is a lot more range on the Nasdaq here. This is excuse me, 530 up to the 730s. So it's like 1,200 point range, top to bottom. I would key in on this area right there, the 48500s. You start taking that out, start leaning long. That three-letter edge, you start taking that out, start leaning short in a big way. Those are the edges we're really looking at. Now we may have some intermediate edges, some inner edges building here. We'll see, but so far they're still kind of going back and forth. They're swinging, trying to find a spot where they're going to settle in. It looks to me like it's going to be around the 29,000s, but right now it's swinging pretty wildly. So early on, they're going to buy weakness against the 29,030s, 70s, 28,900s, 28,840s, 28,800s for rotations up. They're going to sell strength against the 140 is pretty aggressive, but the 190s, 270s, 330s, 360s, 420s, 460s for rotations down. Up to the 500 level here when they start getting up to that upper area. So we have a lot of levels between here and the edges. So it's swinging wildly. So I mean, if you look at remember 300 points on the Nasdaq used to be pretty crazy days. Now it's like a normal day. And that just tells you that it's really difficult to trade with any success. You have to leave room for that volatility. Especially so, I mean, I saw you trade. I was in yesterday. You're up like a good 100 ticks, and then literally they run that down in one trade, literally, and then knock you out, and then some, and then right back up again. So it's that fast. So it's 100 tick stops. It's barely enough. I'm trading with an 80 tick stop, and what I'm doing, I'm just leaving it at 80. And if it looks too shitty, then I'll adjust the stop outside a rotation or something to give me some better trade location. But right now, the range bound trading, As I said, look to fade the edges on the Nasdaq. One 90s, 230s, 270s, 310s. Okay, what was that? 310s, 360s, 420s up to the 450s here. We're going to buy weakness against the 29,030s, 70s. This is 28. What's that? Yeah, 29,030s, 28 and 970s, 970s, 900s, 860s, 850 to 60s, 800s, down to the 740s for rotations up. And then just watch it, because I mean it's a you get some good runs on the Nasdaq for sure. And then if you can get on one of those, you'll be in good shape. But it is volatile. You really have to get a little bit lucky on those as well. Now looking at the bonds, bond market is heading lower and has been on the lower end of this range quite a bit. They kind of holding for a little bit now, but you can see that this is not a great sign. So the inflation concerns, oil prices, and all that stuff is leaning on the bond market. They want higher yields to keep for the longer term, and that's just an inflation scare. So I mean, you're looking at if you want if the yields are going up, that just means that people want more money for lending. So when you buy a government bond, you lend the government money, and you want more return on that one to sit in that thing for 30 years or 10 years or whatever you're sitting on. And that's just a function of you expecting more inflation and the money being worth less as time goes on. So you want higher returns. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing, but it's just the inflation concerns usually spikes the yields like that. And I would just stay on the short side on the bonds, look for further weakness. Right now we get a little bit of strength in the overnight, so looking for short setups against. I didn't adjust this guy. Maybe I should adjust this a little bit here. And that guy up there. I need to put that level in there. So it's a Y period start right there. We'll adjust that. It gets a little bit crowded, Sometimes I had to adjust things a bit. So anyway, so looking for short setups against the 110.10s, 10.15s, 10.20s, up to the 10.26s. I would say they take out yesterday's high, day session high at the 10.16s, 16.17s or 15.16s here. Then I would maybe lean in on the long side a little bit more. But right now I'm looking for short setups against 110, 5 to 6, the 10s, the 15.16s for rotations down again. And looking to buy against support, 109.28, 28.29, 109.20s for rotations up. I haven't tried to adjust this guy anything. Anyway, this guy right there. Just a little bit. So 109.16 is the kind of what they've been down at. And if they start trading below that, it's just hiding lower. I mean, these yields are going to be just coming high. I mean, go higher. Now, yields used to be high. It used to be up in the 5, 6, 7% range for a long time, but it's just this quantitative easing they introduced into 2010, and that the housing crisis there. That was one of the biggest mistakes they ever did. I mean, that's just they got the market totally used to super low interest rates, and lending money, it just didn't have any value. So no interest on anything, no nothing, and super cheap money. And yeah, it worked for a bit, but now people are still super freaky about paying higher interest rates. So cost of money is the cost of money. So it's like, I'm not sure that worked out very well. But right now, as the yields go higher, the prices come down on the bonds, it's definitely going to be leaning on the market a bit. No comments on the cryptos this morning. It looks pretty anemic to me right now. I haven't done anything on that in the overnight. So basically, we get started right now looking for not much news to lean against. Nothing until like 10 o'clock today. And 20 auction at 1, Fed minutes at 2. And then, of course, the NVIDIA earnings after the close. So we'll see. Watch the NVIDIA, see how that trades today. Alrighty, guys. But it has been to the downside. You can't say buy the rumor, sell the fact on Nvidia because it's been down quite a bit, and not quite a bit, but a bit. So we'll see how that shakes out for by tomorrow's trading. Alrighty, guys. Enough. I'll wrap it here for now. So good trading. I'll see you back at 11:30 for the next update. Later.